So this afternoon, we'll take you live to the premise of a Ghana water company where workers are demonstrating over the removal of the managing director of the company. Now, some say it was needless for Dr. Otabil to react to the issue of his voice being used on campaign and political platforms. But what is the implication on the back of fourth arguments on the church, politics, and the country? Now we'll be finding out. And still on the Otabil saga, Education Watch, the brain behind the latest twist to the Dr. Otabil saga, says it has the full tape and the sermon was not pieced together, but to play it at the appropriate time. We'll be talking to the executive secretary of the group up ahead and the bulletin. Now, barely a week after the infamous collapse of the Malcolm Achimota branch, which killed 14 people, another structure in St. John's near Achimota appears to be a disaster and the waiting. This is the Midday Brief. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano. I'll be right back. In our first story, the Education Watch, the brain behind the twist to the Dr. Otabil saga, has issued a very lengthy statement justifying their actions and raising even more questions. Well, we joined on the line by Agbezuga Kofi Lawson. He is the Executive Secretary of Education Watch Ghana. Good afternoon, sir, and thanks for joining us on the Midday Brief.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, what is this move meant to achieve?
Well, it is to provide information regarding education and helping in the choices that Ghanaians have to make with respect to education.
And you believe that having to play the full sermon, which you say is not pieced, will go a long way in achieving this?
Well, you see, the foundation of the whole issue is this. We take inspiration from the teachings of Dr. Mensa Otabil, and his teachings are for a purpose, to inform us, to prepare us for events like this, what we have now. So when we engage in discourses such as this, we are better informed as to where our opinion will lie or what decisions will be taken.
But you agree that he has come out to say, no, those were not the intentions of the words that I spoke, and they seem to have been pieced together.
It should have then given us the context in which he said those words, because we have just not put it in any other context except to cite him as having said this. Now, we have not said anything else apart from that, have we?
How about an infringement of some sort? Are you not worried that you could be infringing?
What did we infringe?
His rights, perhaps?
We made reference to his work, and we acknowledge that.
And he's asked that it be removed. Would you do that?
Well, he had not said it should be removed, but he said he did not even deny the tape. Okay, it is his voice. Okay, except he didn't like the purpose for which it's being used. But we are saying that, look, it is for the public good. The public needs to know. You told the public, okay, in those sermons, you were teaching Ghanaians what the qualities of free things, the outcomes of things that are free, okay? And Ghanaians need to make a choice between what is free and quality education, okay? So what better authority to cite in this particular discourse than his?
But how helpful is this, roping in religion into politics?
It wasn't religion, okay? It is teachings that are fundamental, that are timeless, okay?
But you can't deny that Dr. Mensa Otabil is a man of God who made the statements whilst he was in church teaching his people.
Yes. And what did he want his people to do with that sermon? What was the purpose? Not to inform so that they could be better judges when it comes to issues like this.
And so, if Dr. Mensa Otabil asks Education Watch to remove his voice from the rest of the tape, which he says is on education vans at the moment, would you do that?
If we receive a formal one from him, we'll consider that.
So when do you intend to play this full tape?
Be patient. You will see it very soon.
Very soon. Thank you very much. Kofi Lawson is Executive Secretary of the Education Watch. Now, where do we draw the line between a sermon on the pulpit and the voice on the political platform? We're joined on the phone lines by Bishop S.N. Mensah, leader of Full Gospel Church. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Martha.
What do you make of this whole saga, the back and forth?
Martha, I think, religious leaders have a duty to play. Churches have a duty to play when it comes to national development, national issues. Looking at the life of Martin Luther King, he was a man who spoke against social inequality. This was a clergyman. Okay, he started from his church. It was through his church he became an icon, looking and dealing on issues. But the challenge in this particular case is the timing. The principle might be right, the principle might be good, but the problem has to do with the timing. Maybe Dr. Tabo spoke on issues about education and what have you, but I think it is a little bit out of place for a particular party to take undue advantage and use it at a very timing, at a very situation, at a time whereby it will probably put two opposing political parties in a conflict. So the timing is critical. You may have a very good something good to do, but if you do not understand timing, that can create a major problem.
So it makes me wonder. I asked him earlier, it seems as though religion is being roped into politics. Where do you draw the line, the sermon on the pulpit and on political platforms?
Yeah, like I said, for our sermons must be very relevant, and our sermons must be applicable so that it will lead to the social transformation of the individual, including the spiritual upliftment of people. It must also address issues of all kinds of issues, national issues, social issues, economic issues, as and when you make the necessary application. But when it comes to election year, where there is a debate on two different issues like the subject of free education as against quality and accessible and what have you, the average pastor wouldn't make a statement on one issue as against the other. That may suggest an endorsement of a particular political party's policy. We promote a non-endorsement policy where it's like a non-alignment. You are either not for party A or party B, but you can still speak on the issues, but not when it is a major heated debate to probably speak as if you wanted to endorse one particular party, Mother.
Right. Now, so what impact can the voice of a religious leader really have on his or her followers, having made such statements in church?
Well, you know what? These statements were made several years ago or some years ago. It was not in an election year, and it had no relevance to the current debate at that time. At that time, there wasn't any debate going on. So one can equally make statements like that. For example, in the recent elections with President Obama made a position of his belief about the gay rights. Now, during that period of time, we had other religious leaders who didn't make any serious statement to that effect. I mean, the Pope could have made a statement because as a Catholic and others, religious leaders they love the gays, but they're against the idea of, promoting gay activities. So the Pope could have made a statement. And can you imagine the devastating effect that would have probably come on the life of Obama's ability for re-election? So it's about timing. Okay? Timing is critical. And I think that, the other political party is just using this to their advantage, which is not the best in the interest of the unity of the nation. It's the timing, which is wrong.
Some have also taken a swipe at Dr. Mensa Otabil for having come out to react at all. You think it was a bad idea?
No, I think people didn't seem to know where how these messages were pieced together, and so just for him to share his thoughts, I think it's neither here nor there. I think it's okay for him to share his thoughts about this whole issue, just to clarify the air. But definitely, you cannot satisfy the 24 million people. You can't please all the 24 million people. He has his faith, he has his convictions, and I think he has his right to share his thoughts on this subject matter, and we should respect him for that.
Right, thank you very much. Bishop S.N. Mensah is with the Full Gospel Church. Now, I told you earlier, we will cross over. We will take you live to the premise of the Ghana Water Company, where workers are demonstrating over the removal of the MD. In the meantime, barely a week after the infamous collapse of the Malcolm Achimota branch, which killed dozens of people, another structure in St. John's near Achimota appears to be a disaster waiting to happen. Amani Manuel Ante has been finding out about this residential property in the same neighborhood as the collapsed Malcolm building.
It is just 6 days after the Achimota disaster, where many lives were lost as a result of somebody's negligence and selfish interest. This is another disaster in the making. This building, according to some residents in the area, has been there for the past 5 years. The cracks on the building can be seen miles away. This is supposed to be the pillar supporting the weight of the building. But can you call this a pillar? Certainly not. It will interest you to know that there are people living in this unsafe and dangerous structure. I tried to engage this tenant living in the house for an interview. At the sight of the camera and the Joy News crew, she just took to her heels. After several minutes of trying to convince her, she opened up and said off camera that a caretaker of the building has traveled to source for funds for its completion. Even though she is aware of the dangers surrounding her, she prefers staying in this dilapidated structure because she is not paying rent. For Abigail, her business comes first before her own precious life.
I'm here for 3 months. It's because I don't get a place. I searched, I couldn't get any place. So it's here, God helped me to get. So I just pay for 2 years. If the time comes, I will just pack out and live here.
This is also directly adjacent to a crèche and a nursery school. Should the unthinkable happen again, who would you blame this time round? The owner of the house or the people who decided to live in and around this building? Emmanuel Ante, Joy News, Accra.
You're still watching the Midday Brief. Now, if you are someone involved in chainsaw operation, you may have to think again, as the long arm of the law is to be strengthened to ruthlessly deal with you. The Forestry Commission has established a rapid response unit to deal with illegal chainsaw operations and other forest offences at forest gates and major transportation routes to ensure Ghana's forest cover is intact.
This is made known by the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry at a 4-day dialogue program, National Forest Forum, organized by Governance Initiative for Rights and Accountability in Forest Management, GIRAFFE. The program involves 3 zones, northern, central and southern zones, and is aimed at addressing issues bordering on forest fiscal regime, royalties and compensation, plantation development, mining, and transboundary pastoralist, among a host of others.
The political economy of natural resources, particularly as it relates to forest. Okay, there are several studies which have been done on the forest sector, but this kind of analysis is trying to look at what are the power relations, who are benefiting more from the current forest regime and who are suffering the most. You know, the domestic market is currently supplied by illegal chainsaw. There is a process to try and resolve it. It's called a multi-stakeholder process. We've also had an issue of the Fulani headsmen and all the activity, the transboundary nomads.
A representative of the European Union, Bart Messine, believes stakeholders do have key roles to play in ensuring Ghana's forest cover is intact.
The forest cover in Ghana has actually stabilized and even increased slightly. The question, of course, is the quality of that forest cover and the variety of that forest cover. There is a lot of work, and there is a lot of work that has already been done by Ghana and by the other countries on the continent. But it's important that we can stabilize the loss of forest cover.
The Lands and Resources Minister Mike Hammer, in a speech read on his behalf, pointed out some measures adopted to arrest the illegal chainsaw operation.
Tracking illegal forest activities, review of policies and legislation, and instituting transparent resource allocation process are some of the ways to address resource degradation. The Ministry and the Forestry Commission, together with other stakeholders, have come up with a draft timber procurement policy that will ensure that only legal wood is used in all government projects. I'm also happy to inform you that the Ministry has now obtained cabinet approval for a revised forest and wildlife policy, which will hopefully be launched before the end of the year for implementation.
Is that the government, in its bid to reduce the workload on logging but still keep the timber industry in business, is in talks with the Cameroonian government for the importation of logs to Ghana. Protection of forest cover requires the full participation of all. Walalam Johnson for Joy News.
In wellness, this afternoon, pneumonia causes 7% of the world's deaths and 20% of child deaths in the country. It affects about 450 million people a year and results in nearly 4 million deaths. In Ghana, pneumonia is the leading cause of death among children below age 5. Now, to help create awareness of this disease, Ghana has joined the world to mark the day.
Every second, a child is pronounced dead somewhere in the world due to pneumonia. Every year, 6,200 children die of pneumonia in Ghana. Pneumonia is a lung infection which can be caused by bacteria, virus, or fungi. The disease carries a number of effects, sometimes affecting the proper function of the brain, and could even cause hearing impairment. Of every 5 hospital admissions of pneumonia, 3 die. Joy News spoke to a survivor.
They took me to a fetish priest, and then he started consulting the ghost. When he consulted the ghost, he shouted, "Eku, eku, eku." And I said, what the mother was asking, what is eku? He said, your child is dead. He said, oh, go and bring 1 goat, and I will exchange the soul of your child with the goat. Apparently, he said somebody has jujued me, and they call something as Zatukpe. So I was eventually taken to the hospital. But they wasted too much time in the village. So by the time I got to the hospital, I was unconscious. And I was in the hospital for about 3 months. Every day, they would give me 6 injections.
In April this year, Ghana introduced 2 vaccines to help control the spread of the disease, particularly among children.
Over the years, as we vaccinate more and more children and the population vaccinated becomes larger, it reduces the spread of the disease, and adults themselves become protected. Because in terms of a disease like polio, for instance, you see that we vaccinate mainly under 5s. But because the under 5 program is successful, adults are not getting it. It's like blocking the gateway to the disease spread. And once we block the gateway, it doesn't spread.
The World Pneumonia Day has been set aside to create awareness and encourage action to prevent pneumonia among both the young and old.
If you go to the Princess Marie Louise, last year, out of 5 children on admission, 3 of them were dying out of pneumonia. The little challenge they have at the health center is that most of the parents of mothers have a schedule they have to follow to immunize their children. But you know, these things, it coincides with other programs, and they will shelve the health of the child and attend to the social programs.
Some people are more likely to be infected with pneumonia. Individuals at higher risk include those who smoke, abuse alcohol, those who have recently recovered from cold or influenza, among others.
We have not been building our houses with ventilation that will enable people to get fresh air. Many people are choked in their rooms, so the circulation of the air is very bad, and that brings in pneumonia, tuberculosis, and other diseases. Within the next 5 years, we see Ghana now having been introduced to pneumonia program. We have to be involved in the education of its communities on pneumonia and to assist with drugs to prevent pneumonia.
At a ceremony to mark the day in Dangbe West, the youth were trained to become advocates for the prevention of pneumonia.
That's it for wellness. Now, sources close to Joy News say workers of the Ghana Water Company are demonstrating against the removal of the managing director of the company due to irregularities recorded in a water project. Joining us by telephone is my colleague Yafusua Jimfi, who is at the premise of the Ghana Water Company. Hello, Ya.
Hello.
Confirm or deny this? Are workers demonstrating, really?
Hello.
Hello, Ya.
Yeah, Kimini.
Right. Are workers demonstrating against the removal of the managing director? Confirm or deny?
Okay, workers here are not demonstrating. They are here at the Durban, and then the minister is here to address them on the issue of reform of the Ghana Water Company. So workers here are seated, and they are being briefed by leaders or management of the Ghana Water Company. So as I am here now, there's nothing like a demonstration. I can confirm to you. They are seated and they are listening to the address by the minister.
From your observation, there's a lot of calm and right. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, they are seated. They are calm. There's nothing like agitation here and there. There's a section in the program where they will have an open forum for them to talk. But as of now, they are being addressed by the minister, and they are calm, seated. And okay, there's nothing like a demonstration happening.
But there has been a removal of the managing director.
Well, for that, I can't confirm it now. I'm yet to confirm that. But then, as you know, there's nothing like a demonstration.
Right. Thank you very much. My colleague, Jimfua Fusua, joined us from the premise of the Ghana Water Company. Obviously, it wasn't a demonstration. It is a debate where the Minister of Works, Water Resources and Housing, Iti Mensah, is addressing the crowd, including the workers who are present at the Durban. Would go deeper into the story, bring you the insights in our subsequent bulletins. This is the Midday Brief. I'll be right back. You're still watching the Midday Brief now. Education Watch has said it would release the full sermon where it is believed Dr. Mensah Otabil made the comments on the free education now being touted most topical political issue in this season. Joining us by telephone is Carlos Sechi. He is a copyright advocate. Now let's find out, could this be an infringement on his intellectual property? Good afternoon, Carlos.
Good afternoon, madam.
Right, could this be an infringement on the intellectual ownership of Dr. Mensah Otabil?
Well, I mean, yes, I think it is an infringement. I mean, that according to the Copyright, I'm talking about Copyright Act 205, Act 69. Because the author of a work is entitled to copyright and protection for that work under the Act. And I guess this was taken from a sound recording, and I think, I don't know if it's also under literary work, because it's about,
right.
Basically, it's about Dr. Otabil's work.
Right.
So he owns the copyright in those works, and he has the right to authorize or forbid its use.
So what right has Education Watch to release the full sermon or even use it in any form of advertisement at all?
Again,
I'm asking, what right has Education Watch got in using pieces of the sermon or even releasing the full sermon or using any part of it in its advertisement of any sort?
Yes, they need permission from the author of that work. See, there are economic rights and moral rights in creative works that are protected under copyright. So, for instance, under Section 5 of Copyright Act 690, says that the author of any protected work has the exclusive economic right in respect of the work to do or authorize the doing of any of the following. One of them is the reproduction of the work in any manner or form. That is under 5A. Under 5B, the translation, adaptation, arrangement, or any other transformation of the work. And C, the public performance, broadcasting, and communication of the work to the public. These are all rights owned by the author of the work. And if you want to use it in public, you know, because when you buy a CD, a DVD, or whatever, it's meant for private use.
So, in other words, Education Watch has no business, has no right in using pieces of Dr. Mensah Otabil's sermons on any platform.
Well, I don't know under what contract I don't know how they got the authorization to do that. But all I'm saying is that you need to be authorized by the copyright owner or his or her representative before you publicly perform the work. And this constitutes a public performance of the work. It constitutes a reproduction of the work. It constitutes a transformation of the work. Because see, beyond the economic rights, there are moral rights too. You see, the author has the right to object to and seek relief in connection with any distortion, mutilation, or other modification of the work. So long as it's prejudicial to the reputation of the author or where the work is restricted by the act. So that you can't take somebody's work and piece it together and put it out there. You need permission.
Carlos, I'm going to have us end the conversation here, unfortunately, for the sake of time. Thank you very much for joining us. Carlos Sechi is a copyright advocate. Now, we told you earlier, we went on the telephone and spoke to my colleague, Jimfi, who was at the premise of the Ghana Water Company, where instead of a demonstration, there is a deba, and the Minister of Water Resources, Works and Housing has been addressing a section of the workers. Again, Ya has information for us. I promised you we will delve into the issue, and she's joining us by telephone. Hello, Ya.
Hello, Kevin.
What is this you have for us?
Okay, for now, there is a confirmation that the MD has been asked to proceed on leave. And then the reasons being given is that it's mandatory for public servants to proceed on leave. So for now, the information I'm getting is there's confirmation that he's been asked to proceed on leave. So we'll get you further information if we get.
Absolutely. We will bring our viewers the information as and when we get them. This has been the Midday Brief. Grateful for your company from me and the rest of the team. Goodbye.